Hello, my name's Mary, and I'm the Director of Youth Services at the Portland Public Library. And I'm so glad that you've joined us today as we continue our story. Now, you might remember that the book we're reading is Humphrey's Playful Puppy Problem. The book is by Betty G. Birney. It was illustrated by Priscilla Burris. This book was published by G.P. Putnam's Sons, an imprint of Penguin Group, USA, and it was published in 2014. When we left yesterday, Richie is hamster sitting Humphrey for the weekend. Humphrey's the class pet. And he has a science experiment too, and he's using Humphrey to work on a science experiment. Now, what he started with was counting how many times Humphrey could go around on his wheel, and his uncle Aldo has been helping him. The other thing Richie has is a new puppy, and the puppy is just fascinated by Humphrey. Now, he has an idea, Richie that is, for another part of the experiment. Let's find out what's going to happen. Chapter 3, The Great Dog Disaster. Aldo opened the door and picked Poppy up. Come on, pup. I think we need some peace and quiet. I know I did. He took her out the door. Richie quietly drew a chart and began decorating a big board describing his experiment. Poppy loves fetching that ball, Aldo said when he came back. I left her outside for a while. That was a good news. Aldo gave Richie a stopwatch so he could time my spinning. Are you ready, Humphrey? Richie asked. He gently took me out of my cage and set me on the wheel. I started spinning, slowly at first. Then I picked up speed. Ready, set, go, Richie said as he started the stopwatch. I spun faster and faster. Ding, ding. Each time the bell rang, Richie made a mark on his chart. Ding, ding, ding. I picked up speed. Go, Humphrey, Aldo said. Ding, 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 ding. I spun so fast Richie had trouble keeping up. That's 1 minute, Richie said. Keep going, Humphrey. I can spin on my wheel for a long time, and I liked the sound of the bell ringing. Aldo took pictures of me. Smile, Humphrey, he said as a bright light flashed. That's 2 minutes, Richie announced. I kept on spinning and spinning. After all, I wanted Richie to get good grades for his experiment. I lost track of how many minutes I spun. That's good, Richie said after a while. You can rest now, Humphrey. He slowed the wheel with his hand and then moved me back to my cage. I think Humphrey needs a nap, Aldo said. He was right about that. And I have to get home, Aldo added. I don't think you need my help anymore. Richie said goodbye and sat down at his desk to write his report. I burrowed under my soft bedding and fell asleep. Later, when Richie got into bed, his mom and dad came in to say goodnight. Will you be able to finish the project tomorrow? His dad asked. Yes, Richie said with a smile. I'm almost finished now. When they left the room, his parents turned out the lights and shut the door. But it wasn't long before I heard someone scratching and whining outside. It was Poppy. Sometimes she sleeps in my room, Humphrey, Richie said. But I think I should keep her away from you. Far away, I agreed. Luckily, I heard Richie's mom say, "No, Poppy, you'll sleep in our room tonight." And then finally, it was quiet. I slept well that night, and so did Richie. On Sunday afternoon, Richie worked on his project. Once in a while, I'd hear Poppy scratching at the door. Sometimes she even barked, "Woof, woof." But Richie kept the door tightly closed, which made me happy. I had to do some more spinning for Richie. I got a little tired, but he said I did a great job. By late afternoon, the report, a chart, and the photos were attached to a big board. My wheel with the paper clip and the stand with the bell sat next to it. Richie had used bright colors, and it looked great, great, great. "You did a hamsterific job," I squeaked to Richie. "It turned out pretty well," Richie said. "I just hope Mrs. Brisbane likes it." "Oh, she will," I told him. Richie's whole family came in to see his experiment. Richie put me on the wheel, and I started spinning as fast as I could while he explained how it worked. His two sisters and his brother were so excited to see me spin, I went even faster. "Go, Humphrey, go!" they shouted. When Richie made me stop spinning, his mom said, "I'm proud of you, Richie." "I'm proud of you and Humphrey," his dad said. "Let's celebrate, go out for supper." "Sounds like fun," I squeaked. But it turns out that hamsters aren't allowed in restaurants. Not even neat and polite hamsters like me. Soon I was alone in Richie's room. The house was quiet, and I dozed off. I'm not sure how long I was asleep before I heard a whining sound. Poppy was outside Richie's bedroom door. Luckily, the door was shut. I closed my eyes and tried to get back to sleep. Then I heard a scratching sound. "Woof, woof," Poppy barked. The noise got louder and louder, and the door began to shake. I'm not sure what Poppy did, but suddenly the door burst open, and there she was. She ran straight toward the desk, jumped up on Richie's chair, and looked at me. I have never been so happy to live in a cage. But if Poppy could open the door to the room, could she also open the door to my cage? She might figure out that my cage had a lock that doesn't lock. My heart was pounding. "Stay away," I squeaked. "I don't want to play." "Woof, woof," she answered, wagging her tail. Poppy put her front legs up on top of the desk to try to get closer. Suddenly there was a loud crash as her floppy puppy paws sent the wheel sliding across the desk. The big board collapsed and the bell went ding, 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 ding. Luckily, the noise scared Poppy. She jumped off the chair and ran out of the room. I was happy that she was gone, but I was sorry when I looked at the desk. The pieces of Richie's project were scattered everywhere. It was completely ruined, all because of that playful puppy. "Oh, no!" Richie shouted when he returned. His mom and dad ran into the room. "What could have happened?" Mrs. Rinaldi said. Mr. Rinaldi looked around the room. "Richie, was the door open when you got back?" he asked. "Because I remember closing it before we left, so Poppy couldn't get in." "Yes, it was," said Richie. "So I guess she must have done it." Yes, I squeaked. "Poppy came in and wrecked the project." Richie sat down and tried to fix the project. The board was torn, so Richie taped it back together. He smoothed out his wrinkled report. "Where's the bell?" Richie asked. His dad began to search for it. "And where's the paper clip?" Richie wondered. "It slid under the lamp," I shouted, "and the bell's under the desk." They couldn't understand me, but they did find the bell. "We have to find all of the pieces," Richie said. "The project's due tomorrow." Finally, Mrs. Rinaldi lifted the lamp. "Here's the paperclip," she said. I felt a lot better. So did Richie. But when he got the project back together, it didn't work. He put me on the wheel and I began to spin. And when the paperclip hit the bell fell off. He worked on it some more. This time when the paperclip hit the bell, the clip fell off. "Oh, I can't do anything right," Richie said. Richie's dad tried to help. When he finished, the bell didn't fall off, but it didn't ring at all. It went clunk. "Richie needs to get to bed," Mrs. Rinaldi said. "Now." "I'm sure you can fix it in the morning, son," Mr. Rinaldi said. "We all need some sleep." I know Richie didn't want to go to bed, but soon he was fast asleep. I, however, was wide awake. The moon glowed brightly, and I could see the wheel from my cage. I stared and stared at it all night long. It was almost morning when I finally saw the problem. Mr. Rinaldi had fastened the bell too tightly. Someone needed to loosen the string so the bell would swing freely. Then it would ring again. And I was the only someone who knew what to do. Chapter 4. The Playful Puppy Returns. The room was already getting light, so I knew there was no time to waste. I jiggled the lock that doesn't lock on my cage, and the door swung open. I was about to scurry over to the wheel to repair the bell when Richie's mom knocked on the door. "Richie, time to get up," she called out. I hurried back to my cage as fast as my small legs would carry me. After all, if I ever get caught outside of my cage, someone might fix my lock that doesn't lock. Then I could never get out and help my friends again. Just as I closed the door, Richie jumped out of bed. He yawned and said, "Hi, Humphrey." "Morning," I squeaked back politely. He came over to look at the wheel. "I wish I could get that bell to ring," he said. His mom called from the hall. "Come and have your breakfast, Richie. You're going to be late." "But I need to fix my project," he replied. "You have to eat first," she said. Richie sighed and left his room. I knew if he was eating breakfast, he'd be gone for a while. I opened the door to my cage again and hurried over to the wheel. It wouldn't take long for me to loosen the string so the bell would ring. Suddenly, I heard the pitter-patter of paws on the floor. I looked up and saw that Richie had left the door open. Poppy was heading straight toward me. "Go away, Poppy!" I squeaked. She hopped up on the chair and stared at me across the desk. I could see her shiny teeth. And this time, I didn't have my cozy cage to protect me. I glanced around and saw a pile of paper clips on the desk. I threw a few of them at her nose, hoping to scare her away. Poppy growled, but she didn't move. Then I remembered that Aldo had said she liked playing with a ball. I'd seen a little bouncy ball on Richie's desk. I scurried to it and rolled it toward the edge. "Here, Poppy, go fetch the ball," I squeaked. The ball rolled off the side of the desk and across the floor. While the pup chased after it, I worked on loosening the string. To my surprise, Poppy came right back with the ball in her mouth. She hopped up on the chair and set the ball on the desk. "Woof, woof," she barked. Poppy still wanted to play, but now the ball was very close to her scary mouth. I took a quick look around the desk, grabbed a small ruler. Using the ruler like a bat, I swung and hit the ball hard. This time the ball rolled much farther away, and Poppy chased after it. I worked fast to loosen the string, but the pup came right back and set the ball on the desk again. Woof, woof, she barked. Her shiny white teeth looked sharp, sharp, sharp. I picked up the ruler again and aimed it in a different direction. I gave the ball an even harder whack. It flew off the desk and rolled under Richie's bed. I heard Poppy's paws racing across the floor, but I didn't stop to watch her. Instead, I stood up on my back paws and gave the string a good tug with my front paws. Then I gave the wheel a spin, and when the paperclip hit the bell, it rang. Ding, ding, ding. It worked. I raced back to my cage and closed the door behind me just as Poppy returned with the ball. Sorry, Poppy, I don't want to play fetch anymore, I squeaked. Poppy just looked at me, wagging her tail. It wasn't long before Richie came back to his room. Get out, Poppy, he said as he shooed her out of the room. Richie, we're about to leave for school, his dad called. Get your project together. What's the point, Richie said. Doesn't work anyway. Try it, I squeaked. Richie walked over to the desk, looked down at my wheel. I don't understand why it doesn't ring, he said, and he gave the wheel a spin, and the clip hit the bell. Ding! I don't believe it, Richie said. He spun the wheel again. Ding! It works, Richie grinned, giving the wheel another spin. Ding! I don't know what happened, he said, but I'm glad it's fixed now. Richie wasn't the only one who was glad. Once he got to school, Richie and all the other students in room 26 set up their projects. Og, you're not going to believe what happened, I told my froggy friend. Boing, boing, he answered. Og sounded concerned, so I said, don't worry. It turned out well in the end. Then Mrs. Brisbane asked my friends to explain their science projects. It was interesting to learn that plain water froze faster than sugar water, and Heidi said the salt water didn't freeze at all. Saya showed us the beans she'd grown. The beans that had received the most light grew the best. And the colorful mold that Gail had grown in her refrigerator was amazing. Finally, it was Richie's turn. He explained his experiment to the class. Each time the wheel went around, the bell rang and I marked it down. Then he pointed to the chart. I had him spin for 3 minutes each time. I noticed that he slowed down toward the end of the experiment, so even hamsters get tired. Then he showed everyone how he did it. Richie took me out of my cage and placed me on my wheel. Why don't we all get a little closer so we can watch, Mrs. Brisbane said. Oh, I was happy to start spinning. Ding, ding, ding. The bell rang every single time the wheel went around. Ding, 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 ding. Look at him go. Lower your voice, AJ shouted. Golden Miranda cheered me on, too. Faster, Humphrey, faster! When 3 minutes were up, Richie stopped the wheel. That's it, Humphrey, he said. You've done a wonderful job, Richie, Mrs. Brisbane said. I looked up at Richie. He had a huge smile on his face. I think I had a huge smile on my face, too. Some humans think that hamsters don't smile, but we do. Good job, Kirk told Richie, but I still think You should have turned Humphrey into a monster. I like Kirk a lot, but I didn't agree with him. I just want to be a helpful classroom hamster who goes home with my classmates on the weekend. I love going home with my friends, even friends who have very playful puppies. And that is the story of Humphrey's playful puppy problem. This book was written by Betty G. Birney and illustrated by Priscilla Burris. It was published by G.P. Putnam's Sons, an imprint of Penguin Group USA, and it was published in 2014. I'm so glad you were able to join us again and come back tomorrow. We're going to be reading some picture books for the next few days. So again, my name's Mary, and I'm the Director of Youth Services at the Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine. You might recognize the elephant, or you might recognize the illustration from our website. But we're really glad that you joined us, and until next time, bye-bye.